Some Democrats, like Senator Debbie Stabenow, seem to be turning on President Biden over his mishandling of classified documents. She called President Biden's 60 Minutes comments, that interview about former President Trump's handling of classified documents, embarrassing.
All Trump did was careless. Does he have to eat those words considering what happened with him?
Well, it's certainly embarrassing, right?
I guess that's a short soundbite, but I will continue what she said. She went on to defend President Biden because, and this is the excuse that we're hearing, he's cooperating with authorities, unlike President Trump. So they're comparing apples to oranges. And now this, Senator Ted Cruz is calling out the hypocrisy on how President Biden's mishandling of classified documents is being handled, tweeting out, full FBI raid happens when? Question mark. Tom Fitton joins me now. Tom, good to see you. Is there a real reason President Biden hasn't been investigated like the former president, President Trump, was?
The Justice Department is partisan and ideological. They changed the rules to target Trump, and Biden's been caught up in it, and now they're doing their best to protect him from the consequences of the abuse of Trump. Biden's had these records for 6 years. The irony is that everything that they've used, the left, the Biden administration has used, all the arguments they use to justify the targeting and abuse of Trump applies to Biden. And all the arguments they've used and we're hearing used to defend Biden applies to Trump. So you just can't have your cake and eat it too, but I guess it's Washington, so they'll attempt to do it. In the end, both Biden and both Trump, in my view, under the Presidential Records Act, should be given deference as to what records they take with them. That's what the law says. But they didn't want to apply that to Trump. I mean, we were back 10, 12 years ago making all the arguments we're hearing about what happened with Trump. Clinton had these records in his sock drawer after he left office. They talk about his communications with foreign leaders. You got to get a National Archives. The National Archives and the Justice Department and the courts told us, nope, you can't second guess it. If he has them after he leaves office, they're his. But the rules were changed for Trump, and now, of course, the rules again are being changed for Biden. When was he briefed on these records? But did he know he had them? When? Early November, they found them. White House counsel was told. Was Biden told? Why were they in 3 different locations? That suggests they were being used. Not just stored, but used.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this. Because now to prevent it from looking like there's a double standard, do you think what's now going on with President Biden helps President Trump?
Well, certainly it makes it more difficult to target Trump further, but that's never stopped them before. I mean, they accused Trump of being in league with Russia, and who was doing it? Hillary Clinton working with a Russian agent, it looks like. Hillary Clinton getting money from the Russians through her husband, and Uranium One, and the smear was to target Trump and to try to prosecute him. So don't think that because there's a double standard, they won't embrace it. In many ways, it's a single standard, right? Target Trump at all costs.
Well, it seems like that. Tom, Congressman Chris Stewart, he's a Republican from Utah, now calling out this excuse that, well, President Biden didn't know he had classified documents. I want you to watch this.
Every one of these documents, they have a cover sheet that's red. Yeah. It says what the classification is and why it's classified. Every single page has a classification marking on it. This isn't the kind of thing that you just sit on your desk and you think, oh, I forgot that they're classified. It's very clear that they're classified. And for those who think that, well, the president didn't realize that he had those in his possession, it just is nonsense. Of course he knew that he had them. They're so obvious.
Should Biden get his eyes checked, Tom?
There's a big presumption here, Lauren. We're presuming that these records were taken the way the Trump records were. They were in Trump's office and moved out. Why is it we're presuming that here? It's unusual that they showed up in 3 different places. Did someone else take them? And who else had access to his office and was given special access to his office?
Over 6 years.
And in the case of one... in the case of one document, one classified record reportedly is about Ukraine. And, of course, that just raises the whole Hunter question. Why were Biden's lawyers looking for these records to begin with, or moving these records back in November? There are a lot of unanswered questions here, and the Biden administration's approach is the modified limited hangout. It's like they'll tell you a part of the story while withholding other parts of the story, and the damage just gets worse and worse. I tell you, in the end, you were talking last segment about Merrick Garland. What a disaster that Justice Department has been. Yeah. They broke the rules, changed the rules to target Trump, and they should have known that the rules that they were now coming up with to target Trump applied to vice presidents, former vice presidents, and former presidents. I tell you, if I'm Clinton, well, Clinton should be worried, Bush or anyone else, I'm wondering, are they going to come after me next? Because I've got records they're now telling me I was never allowed to have to begin with.
Oh, wow. Tom Fitton, thank you for the time.
You're welcome.